So today's topic is dealing with quite difficult situations. You know, we've, I think, heard before some experiences of people dealing with personal situations and how, you know, they cope with that. And I just thought I'd share one of those while we all gather. There was a situation, for example, where one of our sisters was being kidnapped. She was coming to class in the morning, getting in the car, and this man grabbed her and started to tie up her feet and her hands and her mouth, and she felt, this is a kidnap. What would you do in such a situation? Of course, Baba says we have to have this viceless wireless, as the words he used in those days of that technology, but really just to get that touching from Baba what to do. What she did in that situation, it just came from Baba, not herself. She created the consciousness of being Kali. And she was just sitting there feeling that I am Kali, the goddess of death. And just in this very powerful consciousness. And she felt, as soon as she changed her consciousness, that that person was getting nervous and he wasn't tying her up, you know, properly. He wasn't firm in the way he was moving. And then another kidnapper was there and they were supposed to find the key to the getaway car. They couldn't find it, so they were cursing and, you know, getting upset. But ultimately they had to leave her because they didn't find the key and her car was well known. And because they hadn't tied her well, she was able to pull off this, you know, mask and get herself free and go inside. So a very powerful story of how consciousness can help. But today what I think we're going to be talking about further is world situations, earthquakes and, you know, what we've got at the moment, this leaking radiation, and practical things like, do we keep bringing the people in that center? Do we kind of give them space and send good wishes from a distance? What to do at that time, and how is it to go through this situation? Because, as you know, our sisters and brothers are going through this right now as we speak in Japan. The suggestion has been for them to even leave the center, and then they're thinking, do we leave? People are coming now for our support. If we stay, maybe we'll be affected by this radiation. Maybe we'll get cancer, maybe we'll die. Or do we leave? Very, very practical. So we've got Sister Rajni, who was in the earthquake. She went through the earthquake in Kobe, Japan. Sister Pieta, who went through the earthquake in Christchurch. And we've also got Brother Golo, a wonderful person. As he says, he's a scientist without a degree. And he really is somebody who's researched and has a lot of information. He will also share with us what to do to protect ourselves, what information to listen to, because we get all this information and we think, you know, and some say, oh, it's nothing much, some say it's the end of the world. So we have a very great resource here to listen to and learn from. So first I'd like to ask Sister Pieta, you were in the earthquake in Christchurch. What was your immediate feeling at that time? Did you go into a state of powerful yoga? Was there fear? What was your state of mind at that time? Honestly. We all like to think we'd just go straight to Baba. Honestly.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of my state of mind, I really need to explain the two major earthquakes that I was in, because it was a different state of mind for each earthquake. The first earthquake was on the 5th of September, and the second earthquake, the 22nd of February. So on the first earthquake, that was 4:32 in the morning. So I just so happened to be at the centre, as I go to Amrit Vaivula there each day. And Rahini was there at the centre, she lives there. I go from outside. And I've been going to the centre every day for Emirate Vela for about 17 years in Christchurch. So it's been very much a routine without any change for 17 years. But this day, I was sitting there as usual, and the walls started really caving in, and the floor was really waving before I even felt the earthquake. So I realised, okay, I immediately became bodiless at that point, and from there, Baba gave a very powerful experience of subtle regions. So it was very extensive, and both Rahini and myself actually had an experience of the advance party with Daddy Prakashmani and the other souls of the advance party, and sending out rays of protection to all our friends and family and BKs and all my Toastmaster friends and business colleagues, and I just went through the whole gambit of protection and light for everyone. There was such concern because I knew that, naturally some of them would have been in potentially dangerous situations. And incredibly, from that 7.2 Richter scale earthquake, nobody died. And it was the same level of the Haiti earthquake, where as we know, 250,000 people died. So those rays of protection, I really felt Baba just did something very magical there, where he was proving, in a sense, the power of meditation and how it can protect us all. But in contrast to that, this one on the 22nd of February was in the middle of the workday. So it was 12:54, and so everyone was at work. I was at my computer completely engrossed in the Think Strong, Be Strong program, so my intellect was not in the subtle regions. It was strong enough, but not subtle. And so when the earthquake hit, it was about our 600th aftershock since the first one, so I just thought it was another aftershock, not realising it was actually a more major earthquake than our first big one. And then usually what I do in every aftershock is I have this practice of bodilessness. I usually actually try and get to my meditation chair in the room where I work, look at Baba and just do 2 minutes bodilessness, traffic control, become peaceful, and then carry on with my work. That's just a discipline, like a traffic control with each aftershock. And I really suggest that that's a really helpful technique. But this time, the floor was waving so much I couldn't walk, I couldn't move to the chair. Shiv Baba fell off the wall. Brahma Baba stayed there, and everything started falling and crashing. So I knew it was a bit more major. But this time, rather than being bodiless, because I was really engrossed in the situation, I couldn't be bodiless, so I just started saying to nature, just cool it, calm down, everything's all right, just settle. So I just started talking to nature like my friend, because I think you have to actually develop a relationship with nature when it's becoming so aggressive. So I did that, carried on, and realised, of course, that the power was off. Everything had just shut down, and 10 minutes later, dear BK Trish from Saigon, Ho Chi Minh, rang and told me that the cathedral had fallen, and so had half the buildings of the business district, which of course I didn't realise. So because I was in a different place, I wasn't at the centre, I wasn't in that atmosphere, it was in the middle of the day with all the fear vibrations of everyone, you do get a different experience. So I'm very aware now that you have to be so much more powerful when you're outside the centre, number one. Number two, the first earthquake was a wave formation where you get at least a 1 second warning, either a noise or you feel the earth move, and then it reaches a crescendo and then it fades out. So you've got 1 or 2 seconds to snap into bodilessness and be detached. Very helpful. With the new set of earthquakes, they're sharp, short shifts of lateral movement like that. You get no warning whatsoever. It's a split second. You're sitting there reading Murli, which was the case the other day, and it just hits you and you've got no preparation or warning. So for me, I find these recent earthquakes much more challenging stage. And of course, they're sort of slicing the foundations of half the buildings in Christchurch, and the building code is not geared to manage these. So both the buildings plus our stage, they're new forms of earthquakes that are coming in much faster and quicker and stronger. So definitely this new type is like the very high destination indeed to be able to keep your stage. So I just need to go back to Christchurch and really focus or here in Maribyrn and Christchurch on bodilessness, A, B, bestower. That's all there is, really.
So when you go back, this will be continuing, these aftershocks?
Yes,
so you live with it now?
Yes, 600 we've had. That's why I didn't realise it was a big earthquake. I thought, oh well, everything's falling as it always does. You know, everything that could be broken's been broken, all your heirlooms that you had, etc. Go. But on the 20th of March, there's a prediction both by the psychics and the scientific community that there will be another more major earthquake in Christchurch.
Which is tomorrow, so we have some good wishes.
Yes, and so there's a famous psychic called Mr. Moon, who everyone's following. He's predicted the last 2 earthquakes within 2 days of one of them and 2 hours of the other. So quarter of Christchurch at least is evacuated, I think probably a third now, out of fear of this. And so it's creating quite a vibration in the city. But I'm just like that first experience of having that protection and power and no one dying. Since the Richter scale's been invented, there's never been a 7.2 and no one's died. Ever. So I mean, it was really powerful and people did feel the protection. My friends and family said they felt protection at that time. Yeah, unlike the second one when I and other Brahmins were engrossed in doing what we were doing. So I've got full faith that if we keep up that subtle power through thick and thin, it will help the people. So I would like to ask you all for that support for our dear city of Christchurch over the next hour or two. Subtle power, that light and subtle power.
And Sister Rajni, when the earthquake came to Kobe, I understand that it was also Amrit Vela, but you had a little bit of premonition or something came to you that something was going to happen. What happened there?
Om Shanti. I went through this experience in 1995 in Kobe. Actually, it was 5:45 in the morning. I was in the kitchen, and as Brahmins, we already ready for the Murli class, and I was ready for Murli class. And suddenly, I wanted to drink a chai, and I just sat on the chair. I got this vibration, thought, leave this place, go to the Murli room. And I immediately went to the Murli room and I sat, and then I started to press the MP3 to listen the song, and had a Murli in my hand, and I had a lit candles, because we had a 16th January as 18th January celebration, so it was the next day, 17th January. And then suddenly a big earthquake. Like a swing. It was like a swing. And that MP3 went up, to the ceiling, came down. And then where I was sitting, there was a heater, and it hit the heater. And heater broke, electricity went off, and just candles were already lit. So on my knee, I slowly go with this on the knee to extinguish the candle, because what first thought came in my mind, so many people in the building, it might catch fire, so I finished first. Then I informed Baba. I said, Baba, this is very big earthquake. It's first time in my life, but I am calm. As I learned that when there's earthquakes, stand under the beam. So I stood there, so I start to feel what is happening around. So I saw, this many children crying, dog barking, and so many things fell down. And then very quietly I went into my room, put on overcoat, and just put few yen in my pocket and my passport. So I thought, whatever happens, we'll see. But at least ready. But when I was going to my room, I got, this drawing pin in my feet, because for God, it's earthquake, many things were on the floor already. So we have a bulletin board, so something fell. So I quickly took it out and went out, slowly from the 3rd floor to the ground floor, and went out, and then some people were crying. And then they were some Indians. So, Rajni man, they knew me. 1 month old baby with the mother, father. Please give us some money. We need to call immediately. So I had a few yen I gave them. I said, okay, you call. And then I went around alone, seeing all the city. Walking. Oh, gas explosion, road broke, fire. I went around talking to Baba. Baba, you told us already all these things. And then I continued to look at my feelings and thoughts. Definitely at that time Baba also helps, It's not a fear coming, but it was clear mind. And what Baba told me, it's happening. That thought confirms the information of Baba, what he has given to us. But I was, stable and came back when the sunlight came to see the center, what happened. Of course, the cupboards and many things broken. We had a Brahma Bhojan day before, everything fell. Where I was sitting 5:45 in the kitchen, all the thermos, all the things were there, it fell. So I was realizing it is good I came out from that place. So I was okay, but clarity of mind and also connection with Baba, communication with Baba helped me. But I remembered Madhuban also on that day. I said, oh, so many Brahmins, soon next day is 18th January, Everyone is there, Baba is about to come. My mind was also in Madhuban. But at the same time, I also continue to help people, whosoever was there, because that is the time to help. That's what I have.
How did you help them?
Some people were panic, in fear. So it is morning time. Some Indians were asking me many questions, why it is happening like this, why it happened, and aftershocks. And then I told them that, this is the time to bring your thoughts into, stable stage. And they said, sister, we are looking at you, you are stable, but we are not getting into that level. So I said, okay, what will we do now? So she said, you teach us meditation. So actually I joked with them. I said, look, 16 years I've been telling you to learn meditation. You never learned. And now during the night, 12 o'clock, you told me. And okay, I teach you. But I told them, whatever you have belief, you must have done practice, and that will help you to give you strength. And they said, no. Whatever belief we had, we did not practice, that's why we are screaming. And we are in fear. And our husbands are with us, and yet you are alone, you are stable. What is it that? Tell us. So, because we practice, I said, meditation. So we did meditation. There were 70 of us. We sat down during the night and helped them to serve the nature. This nature has given us so much. Now it's angry because it's upheaval. Let's give our peaceful vibrations to the nature. So I gave commentary on nature and stabilized their mind. So they said, don't go anywhere, just be with us whole time. So I was with them whole time to help. So I asked this question to Manohar Dadi. So I said, Dadi, at that time Brahmins were not there with me because they are with their family. And these souls came to help. She said, yeah, they are your bhagats, because you gave them Brahma Bhojan. I said, yeah, because whenever we cook Brahma Bhojan, we used to invite them. So they are supposed to help you at that time. So whatever service you have done to them, this is the time for them to also be with you. So this is how I realized. And one more realization, so many things at that time does not matter to you. Life is the most important. So many things people want to leave. They don't care to take. But what is most important is life. And the third thing I realized is that the practice gives strength. And whatever we have been doing yoga does not go waste. I accumulate even 1 minute of meditation becomes a memory. And that memory helps at the time of emergency. So therefore, nothing is wasted whenever we are sitting in yoga. Whatever soul is experiencing, and that becomes the strength for such time. Because I noticed communication with Baba was very clear, because it was such a day. Then I am alone in the center, and one Indian brother came. He said, "Oh, sister, come with us." And I said, "Okay." Then I start to pack little bit. And then he came back, he said, no space in the car, don't come." Then I went to Baba's room. I said, "Baba, you think I should leave this place?" Because I was supposed to leave on 19th January anyway, I had a ticket ready. "If you think I leave, Baba, then you can tell him to come back and take me to where they are going. But you think if I don't need to go, then it's okay." Then Baba touched him. He went to start the car, he could not start the car. Then he came back, knocked the door. "Sister, you have to come." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I can't start the car. I am getting this thought, I must take you with me." "Okay, sister, you come. I have my wife with me, and we have a quilt, we have torch, we have some food. We take you also with us." "Okay," I said, "I come." So I said, "Baba, you already told him." So your communication was very clear, that whatever Baba wants me to do, Baba, you tell him. He already told me this. Very fast, within a second these things are happening. So Baba's children, as sister said, has a special protection. As far as my mind is very clear, no confusion, no fear.
So how do you know, like when you're in the building, then you said you went out wandering, so how do you know whether to stay in the building, go outside, because there's no electricity, you don't get any information? Like I understood from Pieta that Sister Trish, who used to be in Christchurch, she was in Vietnam, she was calling Pieta Ben to tell her what's happening. You know?
There was only one line that was going.
Only one line, telephone line. So how do you know, like Sister Rajni also, both of you, how do you know, is it just Baba, or how do you know where to go and what to do at that time?
No, what I did is that first I talked to Baba. "Baba, this is happening and I am here. You continue to touch my mind." And of course I surrender also to Baba. "Baba, whatever will happen, will happen." You know, it's very heavy earthquake and it's first time in my life. But I realized that I should go out from the building also. You know, if aftershock come, already broken, so I should be out. That is my understanding. So based on that, I went out. Then I went out, I started to help some people, they need help. Then in my mind, I should see what is happening around, like that, to get to know. And then there was one phone working. Quickly I called to centers. I said, "Just for your information, I am safe. In anyone calls from anywhere, just tell them I am okay and I am outside, you know." So I did that necessary work, because in the center phone did not work. So I went out and then I started also to call. And then like necessary work I was doing. But inside calm.
And Pieta?
With me, with the first earthquake, when everything went down, Trish was calling, so that was good because she could communicate information over the rosary, so that was helpful. And then my friend was in the one part of Christchurch which wasn't affected, and she gave me the information to say that the mayor was saying, "Just serve your street, please don't go anywhere." Actually, I must admit, try to go to Emmerich the next morning, and was met by the army man with the gun and the big tank as all the streets were blocked off, and he said, "In the name of Her Majesty's service, I forbid you to enter." I couldn't believe it, you know, anyway, so I couldn't enter. So I just, like the mayor said, I started to serve my street. As Rajni, I went around, had a look, see what was needed, and what was needed was that we had dust storms happen, heat, very, very hot dust storms, and all this liquefaction or volcanic ash that comes up, or this mud that comes up from the earth, had dried, and it's like very fine sand, and it's sort of quite dangerous if you inhale it, respiratory-wise. But these men were having to work in these really hard conditions, getting all the drains and the sewage and everything together. And I knew these guys because they were our lawn mowing men of the community. And I could see they were really thirsty, and I had some spare watermelons. So I chopped up all the watermelons and put them in plastic bags so the dust wouldn't get in them, and took them down. And we had such a nice chat, and I took photos of them for the Think Strong, Be Strong Australia program. And just connecting with the people, you know, you'd walk around and serve in different ways, either chatting or encouraging. All the guys that were digging the drains, I'd always say how strong they were and what a great job they were doing, and encouraging people. That's what you can do as Brahmins. The Red Cross, I'd take photos of them and say what a brilliant job they're doing, and the Salvation Army, and everyone just needs that encouragement, and it does a lot to sort of help their spirits. So that was the service that I did. I just pretended I was a reporter doing goodwill stories for Australia. That's what I said, which is true in a way, for the Think Strong, Be Strong. And people really perked up and were quite happy to give their experiences and get their photo taken and be part of the general thing. So the goodwill factor, that's what I worked with the whole way through the earthquake. Just keep up the goodwill factor. And with Brahmins the same, just try to, you know, keep positive and work on that, which is the spirit, the side of it where that spirit of community and camaraderie and courage, working on that rather than buying into the internet catastrophisation and fear. Really try to distance from that, otherwise that can pull you down very, very quickly.
So just in brief, because you've mentioned a few times this think strong, think something. What is this? Is it a BK?
Yeah. Oh, well, what
Just
happened
in
was
essence.
Jill Sawyers from Istanbul, who does Mike George, she does the self-awareness program. She came to Christchurch and suggested that I do that program, which I did, but found that even though it was very good, through it I developed my own, this sort of strengths-based Think Strong, Be Strong program. Just before the
Think
earthquake.
strong, be strong.
Think strong, be strong. But I developed it before the earthquake. So once the earthquake hit, of course, it became more relevant. And I'm doing the second one in Australia after Easter. So to be honest, that program's helped me a lot because it's given me a real focus. If you think strong, you will be strong. I mean, that's what Baba says. And if you're working on a project that says think strong, then you will be. So that has given me a tremendous focus, and also stories for the program and photos for the program has made it not entertaining, but it's sort of made it relevant and realistic and helpful to be able to sort of contain the experience and bring something good out of it for people, for service.
So what I'm also hearing from both is that one thing is touchings from Baba and being guided, but the other thing is information. So maybe Golobai, you can simply, because we are not scientists, so in simple language, can you give us some little guidance as to what is good to do during, well, we're talking about earthquake today, so, you know, and also in Japan, there's this radiation, and it's now reaching, they say, America. There's fear of it reaching Russia. So how do we protect ourselves? What do we do? How do we know when it's serious? Because we hear mixed messages from media.
Om Shanti. Well, this is a rather difficult question and very general. I think first of all, if something suddenly happens, it's very important we are not panicking, because most of the people, they panic, and then your mind is racing, and then I think one loses, one becomes like a leaf in the wind. So it's very important to stay calm and create a powerful link to Baba, and try to calm down the mind and the thoughts so one can listen to the inspiration of Baba. I feel that is also very important. And then one gets a touching, either you go out or you do this or you do that, and Baba is ready to give the touching. We have to listen to that. I experienced earthquakes here in India, but there were luckily only very slight tremors, and it's just like a rumble you hear. You can't even feel it, you hear it. It's like a rum, 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 rum. and then you hear that it was an earthquake later. In Mount Abu we have earthquakes, yeah. I thought quite a lot of the vulnerability of this place, but I feel it's a quite good place because it's a big rock, it's a big mountain. It's not a sand where the earthquake can travel easily and the forces are multiplied, and the big rock, a solid rock, is very difficult to shake up. So I think this is a rather good place, but you never really know. But I once had an experience when we lifted up one of the solar dishes, and I brought a lifting rod I bought from the shipwreck place in Alang, and that rod was a nylon rod supposed to carry some tons, and it was 20 years old and it became brittle, and I didn't know it, and we lifted that 60 square meter dish, like 2 tons weight, and 20 people were standing around it, and some people even stayed underneath, and the crane started lifting it, and then one small brother of our department, he suddenly got that touching and he chased everybody away. He just ran around like bitten by a bee. He said, go, 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 everybody goes out here. No? So everybody went 3 steps back, and then in slow motion you could see how this rope broke, and this dish with 60 meters glass came down for like 3 meters, and this glass exploded, stayed a second in the air, and then rained down, you know. And if we would have been stood underneath, people would have died for sure. And one labor broke his leg. That was the only thing, and I was shocked because there was no warning either. And we worked 3 months on that dish, you know, so 3 months of work just crashed in front of our eyes. And somebody got hurt, and you know, so I was like in pandemonium. But I later realized that Baba still protected us all. So I feel Baba is watching us, and he's even watching us if we are not remembering him or really close connected, because Baba found us, and Baba said, I will look after the children. Now, in regarding, I'm not really an earthquake expert, but in Japan, for example, this is probably the country in the world where the society has been most trained for earthquakes, and they have regular exercises in the school, and they have the children go underneath the table, and they have all a little hat they put on, and they just do this kind of exercise. But if the forces of nature come, it is very difficult for us humans really to withstand. Either you leave the body in a snap, or you're lucky and your karma allows you to survive. For example, they found out that the tsunami in Japan had a height of 23 meters. And it took full-size ocean-going ships and carried it hundreds of meters inside. I mean, ships of 150-meter length and maybe 20,000 tons of weight, you know. So this had a force which you cannot imagine. And it was probably one of the strongest earthquakes in record. It was 9.0 on the Richter scale, and it was so powerful that whole Japan moved like 10 feet to another location. And at the moment, the whole globe is still reverberating from the sound of that earthquake. The earth is like a big gong, and the earthquake is like dong, and that sound travels around the whole earth for weeks, and they still can measure that sound from that earthquake and all the aftershocks. And they are expecting another earthquake now in Tokyo area. So you don't know really what is in the pipeline. And Baba in the Murli said, this was nothing. This was just rehearsal. So imagine what is in the pipeline. And what we can see is that by the way, tomorrow the moon comes closest to Earth in the last 20 years. It comes close 362,000 kilometers. Normally it's 420,000, but it has a cycle where it comes close and goes. Of course, some scientists said it has nothing to do with earthquakes and no worries. But what we should also understand that authorities are not telling us the truth always. The work of the authorities is to avoid panic. And so they tell us 1/3 of that what is actually really going on. In Japan at the moment, people are dying at the reactor, and all the big embassies, they're evacuating their stuff from Tokyo area. The authorities, they say there's at the moment no reason to evacuate Tokyo, but the truth is you cannot evacuate Tokyo because there are 35 million people living there, and it's literally impossible. The authorities would not know where to shift these people or where to bring those people, so they say there is no serious level of radiation. But the information which is there is there's a lot of discrepancy in the information which we receive. The government says something like that. The operator of the plant, of course, says, oh, it's not really very serious. The government says it's a little bit serious, and American government says it's quite serious. And so which authority you should believe? And also for the BKs, it is the question, should we stay in this center, and or should some of the BKs who have relatives somewhere else, should they go, or should we stay back and create yoga buddies? This is a very tricky question, and I also have no real answer to that. I think everybody should listen to his inner voice and what Baba tells us, to the inspiration coming from Baba, and he should also look to the signals. Like you can get an inspiration, you can get a feeling, you can have a moment where you get an idea, and it's important to catch that idea and not with your intellect say, oh no, it's not going to happen. One of the rules is the things which we cannot imagine they're going to happen. Because this earthquake happened and this atomic power station fails, there was such a shock in Germany that the government decided to switch off 8 nuclear power stations within 1 week. These are all old nuclear reactors where the industry says, oh, German atomic power stations are the safest in the world. Now they switch them off because suddenly the whole scenario has changed. So as Baba told us that in near future, whatever that means, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, or tomorrow, in terms of Christchurch, and the prediction, who knows, anytime anything can happen. So I think yesterday I thought, what should I do? Because I'm working on a solar project and it takes 2 years. And I think a lot, my God, now the end has started. The ring of fire, which is called all these Philippines, New Zealand, Japan, and also America and California, the West Coast, San Francisco, Los Angeles, it became active. And there's this prediction of the Mayans that 2012 the calendar ends. And now Baba says anytime anything can happen, and he said that message. So suddenly anytime can happen, any moment. And I thought, what should I do? And I have the tendency to get a bit itchy in my mind and think, well, this has happened and this has happened. And if there is, now for example, I thought Japan has stopped the manufacturing of the chips. The whole industry is down at the moment. And already some car manufacturers in Europe, they stop production because they don't get the chip, which is usually flown in by airplane. They don't get the chip in time. So already it has very serious effects on the world economy, and we can see also very serious effects in the financial markets, because Japan holds most of the American bonds and the European bonds, and they have to sell it now because Japan needs a lot of money for the dealing with the consequences of this catastrophe. So we will see very shortly also dramatic development in the financial sector. So I thought, where do I get my chips for the controller of the solar dishes? Because now Japan is offline for some time. And then I had in Amrit Vela yesterday the thought, and then I thought, just keep Brahma Baba with you and think this is Brahma Baba's duty. Just keep him almost like you're hallucinating. Like Baba says, take me with you, wherever you are, eat with me, walk with me. Like I thought, okay, I just keep Brahma Baba with me, and if a thought comes, how should I do that? Where do I get my chips? How can I complete this project in 2 years? I thought, it's Brahma Baba's task and Shiv Baba's task, it's not my task. And at that moment I thought that then this burden is wiped away, it's gone. So that was the thought which actually came in my mind. And whenever now a thought comes, because I think a lot how to complete that project, and I read all these disastrous news, and we need 5,000 tons of steel, and we need special glass from Europe, and we need a turbine from Germany, and we have to buy all sorts of things. And now international trade is disrupted, and now they want to bombard Libya because they don't like Gaddafi, and he's a bad chap. And Libya has a lot of oil, so pardon? Yeah. So we shall not worry. So a lot of things is going on in the world, and Baba said, children, you're protected, and keep just close relation, and be calm when things are happening. So these are a bit thoughts on my mind, what is going on in this respect. And by the way, subtle radiation has just reached today California. Subtle radioactive radiation, isotope and cesium. So
how serious is that?
They say, of course, science tell us that the scientists says, oh no, it's very ultra weak radiation, is hardly measurable, but our body is the most sensitive instrument on earth, and our cells reacting on ultra weak radiation also. We're permanently sending and receiving information, and any radiation, I believe, is harmful to the body. But I believe that panic is much more harmful. Mental panic is much more harmful to the body. When we say, this is not affecting us and we are safe, we have a protection around us and nothing will happen to us. But
is there any way we can protect ourselves though? I mean, they're saying to take iodine or...
Well, in China people are buying salt, because there's a little bit of iodine in the salt, and people think if they eat a lot of salt they're protected, but probably they die by salt, and they will not really have any protection. There are some yuktis against radiation, and interestingly Baba said in the Murli, when there was a chit-chat on stage and they told Baba said one sentence, he said, yes, you should follow the advice of the authorities.
Yeah.
So for example, if the authorities say stay inside, better is to stay inside. But if you are staying inside, it means you missed the chance to go a bit further away. That much is also clear. If such a thing happen, as per my understanding, it's good to get a bit distance in between you and that event. Because if the wind changes its direction, and they say after 2 or 3 days the wind may change its direction, then also Tokyo may be affected and will have a radioactive fallout. And in Germany still, the mushrooms in the Bavarian forest, you're not supposed to eat the mushrooms from the Bavarian forest because of the fallout of Chernobyl 20 years ago, which was 900 kilometers away. So this is the situation. Radioactive is, they say it's the fire of the gods, and we are playing with the fire of the gods, and it's not to be underestimated. It's actually quite harmful. It's like the Pandora's box which we opened.
So how are you dealing with this right at the moment, Rajni-ben? Because I understand that there has been a suggestion for all the Brahmins to move out of Tokyo, and how are you and Dr. Nirmala, how are you
We
managing?
are every day calling 3 to 4 times a day to the center in Tokyo. And Tokyo center is around 200 kilometers away from this place where it happened, the earthquake. And what today, this morning, we talked with the sister, we told them that they can go to Kobe or Osaka or come to Madhuban, or they can go to other country just to be away for a while. But they are saying that they want to help their relatives, because the relatives of some BKs are asking a help. So one of the center Vasi sister went already to the place near to earthquake where her mother father live to help them, and others are still thinking, not deciding yet. But we already made the option, open to them. And I told them, sit in Baba's remembrance, make a right decision, because you are on the field, you know. They were saying to me in Tokyo, where the center is, they said people are going still to the job, they have certain hour trains working, certain hour electricity is available. Everything is now in certain hours, not constantly. So some people are coming to the center, cooperative souls, for the support, for the yoga vibration in the evening. So they say, how can we close now the center when the cooperative souls, contact souls want protection. So we are suggesting keep one center open for anyone to come, and others, those who can leave, have no responsibility, can go for a while out until things become clear. That's what we are suggesting them.
And I think this is an important aspect, because I know for myself, when things like this happen, you think, oh, I should call, see how they are. There's this, loving feeling, but as we know, the lines are limited, the communication is limited, and what Pieter Ben was sharing is one sister was in touch with her, putting the information on the rosary, letting Madhavan know that everything's okay. So it seems, what is our system to know what to do? What is our system in this way of communication? Like in Kobe, what did you do?
Me, I call 3 to 4 times a day, just to get latest information from them, and then tell Didi Nirmala and also other seniors, so that we are informed. And then they need any suggestion, we give them. Then I call Tokyo also 3-4 times a day to get information and help them, so that they are really appreciating that we are calling them.
Yeah.
And every time they say, thank you for calling, we appreciate your calling,
but
your
not
concern.
Too many should call, right?
No, instruments. So
only instruments.
I call always to
Only
find out
instruments.
information and then help them, guide them, suggest them. Like day before, they had to send so many things for eating, materials, ingredients, and toilet rolls, tissues, so many things they need in Tokyo. So we send already.
You sent from India?
Kobe.
Oh, you sent from Kobe?
Yeah, so like we are communicating, like keep things ready, anytime Tokyo family comes, we should have. But like today, I called them 2 hours ago in Kobe, they are having a programs today, big program. People are coming automatically because they have a fear, they want to know about more meditation. So they are saying it's so much service now, people are calling, please arrange more programs for meditation, no? Because this area nothing is happening, everything is normal, isn't it? So many people are awakened now and they want to come and listen to knowledge where they never wanted to listen because they were busy, in their work, in their family life, and now awakening call also for them. So other centers are doing service now at this time to the souls who are wanting the support. And then the Tokyo is the Brahmin family, they are doing lot of yoga every hour, sakash, mental mansa seva. They are also busy in communication with us. And then Brahmin family together.
Good. So at this point, do you have any questions? We still have a good 20 minutes or so. Do you want to come and use the mic, please? Will the radiation dissipate or will it keep circling? Golubai?
Yeah, I'll answer that question. What I wanted to say also is we have a global functioning, and in that global functioning we also have a group which deals with the disasters. And there's a professional disaster management available which all the governments have with them. the Red Cross and all these organizations, they have plans, they have rules how they act in a disaster. And one is to establish communication. Next is to get a picture on the situation, then look for victims, like people who are injured, and then mobilizing rescue teams and so on. So there's like a certain sequence into you deal with a disaster. And I think we have also a group in the Global Functioning which works out a manual. I think Temison and others, they're working in that group, which work out a manual for BKs.
Is it on the BK portal?
I'm not sure yet if that is on the BK portal. One has to look, but I assume that some document will either be there or will be ready soon, available for BKs, how to deal with disaster. Otherwise, also there's a lot of professional stuff in the internet available. It's called disaster management, and you can Google. Secondly, Baba told us since a long time, and it's also policy in the centers to have some essential stuff in stock. This is consumables, especially food, basic food, rice, grains, but it's also clean water. It's also, or if there's some emergency, then some people just open the tap and fill up the bath tube, some ideas like that. Or you have a drum there which you keep full with water and you change it once a month so it doesn't get bad. Also a bit of fuel, candles, light, a bit of money, cash money, and and also like a backpack. Baba said, be ready in 1 second. So it's not a bad idea to think a bit in these ideas. I think the center is already doing it. And here in Madhuban, we have quite some big stocks here. Like we have some places, for some stuff, we have almost 2 years of stocks here. So, and as an individual, as a not living in a center, as a student, you can also think on such ideas. How can I prepare myself, and what I'm going to do if something is happening, or whom do I contact, and all these kind of things.
So that's very good.
So there are a lot of ideas and a lot of possibilities, and a lot of information is around. Now coming to the idea of the radiation. In the radiation you have different type of radiation. You have uranium, and you have cesium, and you have different isotopes, as they're called, and they have different time of, I know the German word but not the English, they have different time of half value, means when they dissipate. So at the moment in California, the radiation level could just be detected by very sensitive sensors. It is equal, you take an international flight from America to India, the same radiation level, so it's not really harmful, and probably no harmful radiation will reach to America in the near future. There's another problem at the atomic power station, that one reactor, they have plutonium inside, and plutonium has a stability of 24,000 years. So that is not disappearing that much fast. And plutonium is bad. And at the moment what they're trying to avoid is, they're trying to avoid that these rods are melting where the plutonium is inserted. And these rods are inserted, they are cast by a metal which melts at 2,300 degrees. And the problem is some of these rods have already been breached. So some of the radioactivity which comes out is of the bad type, which is very powerful, very little. And the workers which are working on site, 50% will die within 1 month already. So that is already happening there. They are making kamikaze. It's already confirmed also by other scientists, and the operator wanted to remove the labors, and the government said, no, you cannot remove the labors, you have to resolve the situation. So it's a question of death and life for those workers on the site. There's desperate activity going on to avoid a full meltdown, because it's not only the radioactive rods which have been in the 6 reactors, it's also the material which is sitting next to it in the basins, which are the old rods, which also needs cooling, and those cooling basins are almost empty, and these rods will melt, and then it will become a hot mass of lava type molten uranium, and then reaction will restart again. And it will become plasma of 3000 degrees and burn itself through all the concrete and all the protective layers. And some of these basins, because of the explosions, they're already open to the sky. So when they sent the aeroplanes 2 days ago, they could see the blue basins open, which is very, very bad situation. So now they brought in the fire brigade and they're spraying with water and they're trying to cool down the reactor, something which has never designed in the handbook in the manual for operation of a nuclear power plant, to cool the reactor in such a way with a fire brigade. So the situation is very dramatic there, and they're trying to prevent the worst case scenario. If the worst case scenario happen, it will be very bad for Japan, but maybe also for the coast of China, maybe also for some areas in Russia, but not much further. That is the moment, that's the situation at the moment. So if you live in America or in Europe, luckily by radiation, not a big issue. But nearby to Japan, it may affect. They may evacuate, they have to evacuate bigger areas in Japan. That may happen. Well, the Americans say they should evacuate 80 kilometers at the moment around the reactor, due to not knowing where to bring the people. They have evacuated 20 kilometers, so they have evacuated 250,000 people. But they have put them in mass shelters. They have food problem, they have heating problem. You must understand it's winter and it snowed and it's nighttime 0 degrees, so it's a very miserable situation also for the old people. If they evacuate 80 kilometers, they would have to evacuate 3 million people. They don't know where to evacuate these 3 million people, so the logistics is not there to do it. So they keep it at 20 kilometers at the moment. Now, I think they say in 30 kilometer radius, people should stay inside the house, but it will not help too much. So here it is a very dramatic situation. And it may become even worse. The next days will decide. Actually, they say the next 48 hours are dramatic. If they can cool and keep it inside for the next 48 hours, they probably will be able to win. If they're not able to cool it, it may spill out further. So
it's just time for traffic control, so let's use it well and send our good vibrations. So as we're hearing, some people are sacrificing their life to save others, and I got an email from a foreigner who's living in the earthquake affected area who wrote and said that she's not experiencing any atmosphere of fear and panic, but such cooperation and love for each other and care. So for me, when I send those vibrations, they're very real in the sense of supportive, because souls are showing greatness at this great challenging time. So any other questions, comments, experiences? Sister, can you come to the front? And this sister actually was a journalist in Japan and was speaking out, an activist against the development of nuclear power. She came to Baba just a few months ago, and look, it's an interesting karma, of serving, and she's safe here with us. What's your name again?
My name is Yukari, and I'm from Japan, but I also live in Netherlands. I feel very shaky and very emotional because this morning I just got email from Japan. I teach dance at this moment, and she said so much fear. And she learned through the dance. I teach free movement to calm down and in the meditation. And she said, I thought I learned so much to ground myself and to breathe. But she said she can't breathe because she feels so fear and panic. And I just feel my heart is so much people in Japan and the families. But 12 years ago, I was in University of Tokyo, and I studied the journalism and also nuclear power plant issues. And I know that the company of electricity and media and government are so connected with each other, so media cannot write the reality because the government, as he said that wants to stop the panic. So I really felt like kind of all the people are really mind control, because there was small accident happened already before. And in 95, when the Rajini-ben, the earthquake in Kobe, all the buildings like train and the bridge, all the company and government said they will never fail in any earthquake, but it failed. So the kind of myth of the everything is safe was destroyed. That moment, there was also environmental activists said, if the earthquake happened in Japan, the nuclear power plant, we have lots near the coast, everywhere in Japan. And we experienced Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but it's like crazy, really like materialism, all the 24 hours shop is open everywhere, convenience store, and all the, just for nothing. And anyway, I feel very kind of angry feeling that people are so controlled. Japanese people are pure, so they work so hard. But the information, the reality, they didn't know the truth. And I know how dangerous it is. Like, Tokyo is like 200 kilometers, and they believe that it's safe. My mother said she just bought the mask at the pharmacy. How the mask can help? But the people feels, it's just wanted to do something. And I also live in Netherlands. I said, you can come to Netherlands, and I got permission to stay. I'm first timer anyway, and then Baba protected me the earthquake, because the next day of the earthquake was my flight. But few days before my flight, I felt something is not complete, my time in here, and I felt I want to stay more. So I asked, and Rajini-ben said, okay, I can stay another 10 days. So I changed my flight immediately, and the next day earthquake happened. So I stayed longer, not because of the earthquake, because the Baba touched my hand to protect me. But now I can stay another longer, but I feel like it's time to move on. So next Tuesday, I'm going back to Netherlands, not Japan, because I know the situations, and I feel like it's the right decision for me to back to Europe at this moment. But all my heart is in Japan. So I just had idea, I want to continue to teach dance, maybe via Skype, the live, so that I can continue to connect with my students, and it's just need to dance, to move and breathe, and relax, to all the tension. So back to Netherlands, I still keep on teaching in Japan, in the life of that, just that came intuitively, so.
Thank you for sharing, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Can you take the mic, please?
Brother Nick from UK. Question about communication. In our class, we've been talking about disasters and what can be done, what individually we can have at our homes to help, and of course help others. But in communication, when these earthquakes or problems come, you won't have phones, the computers won't work, there'll be no energy. We come up with an idea of the old CB radio, which works off car batteries, 12 volt, and they've got a range of 4 to 6 miles. So between us, morning class students, if we had one each, we can actually contact each other within a 20-mile area. And
radio.
CB radio.
CB
it's just
radio.
A little box like this, and it's what truckers use, lorry drivers and stuff like that. And if you all had one, you could at least contact each other, and the power supply is your common garden car. So there's enough batteries around to contact each other, just in case there's power failures, etc. And they are relatively cheap. So CB radio is the way.
And also there was a ham radio program that we set up through the BKs. Is that still functioning?
Ham?
Ham radio.
Yeah, that's okay, but I mean for the individual to contact each other, it worked out. CB was like, we'd done a little check and see what was the best idea.
So how do people find out about it? Look on the internet, talk to
Yes. On the internet, there's a
talk to
lot.
you?
Yeah, anyone can talk to me about that. Yes, I mean I've looked into it.
Yeah.
It was the cheapest and most viable, safest and easiest that we could find that could work. And obviously the power supply is very important because that won't last forever. But there are many cars around everyone, so you could purchase a battery which would last quite a few weeks and months on a CB radio. But at least you can communicate with each other and family, which is a big thing when there's something going on. It's nice, and you can pass messages on to each other in different areas. So there is some use for them. It's just a thought.
Thanks, Nick.
Om Shanti.
Thank you. So I think time for one more question or comment, because then we want to show you a little video of what's happening. Any other question, comment? No, come a bit closer, please. That's very far. Okay, maybe from there. Okay.
Actually, the sealing of the reactor is the last solution if you have a complete meltdown, if all other options have failed. It's called a sarcophagus or called containment. And in Chernobyl they did it, and I think they have, ultimately I think 5,000 people died because of radiation, and many of the workers who did that concreting, they also died of the radiation later. It helps to some extent to stop some of the radiation leakage, but the experience in Chernobyl is that after 20 years a lot of cracks have developed in that concrete, and a lot of pieces have fallen out, and again radiation leaks out. They still have a 50 kilometer radius around Chernobyl, which is a no-go zone. So nobody's supposed to go inside, nobody's living there, no town, no village, it's totally deserted. And they made a lot of research how the radioactivity affects to wildlife and to plant and so on. They found a lot of problems and these things. So since 2 days in the press, the idea is circulated to seal off also the Fukushima power plant. The problem is they have 6 reactors. In Chernobyl they had 1 block, here they have 6 blocks, and 4 blocks are creating a problem. So this is an option which is there, and this is the very last option if everything has failed and they have a meltdown. Ultimately, in any case, most likely they have to do it. That's most likely what is left over. But then more people will also die, and the radiation will not calm down fast.
So Pieter Ben, you just had one more people are affected compared to Chernobyl. So you have another comment just to close?
Just a small practical thing. In the Central Business District in Christchurch, where 50% of the buildings are now over and many others at risk of other buildings falling. And so many of the businesses had to leave without even being able to take their laptops or precious information. So businesses have actually failed because they were unable to take out the essential components of their business. So whether it's BK Centre, personal business, I think if you just put your essential information on a little microchip or a memory stick, along with your passport, carry it around wherever you're going from now on. I do that now with my Think Strong, Be Strong program, just in case it gets buried under a whole lot of bricks. You can save yourself, at least you can recreate your life after that if you've got your technology with you.
Anything else? Okay, so we'll close and thank you to our panelists, and now we'll show a short clip.
Om Shanti. Brothers from Gyan Sarovar have prepared this small video about tsunami and earthquake. In Japan, I think some short, so it is in Hindi. I will just translate you if it is necessary, otherwise I know you can catch the idea behind. This is Bapdada's words, that it is the time. Now the time is moving with very fast speed. Therefore change your sanskars and nature. In future you will see the circumstances. The fast effort is whatever you think and do. The speed of time is moving very fast. Transformation has to be fast. Take your steps very fast. Why? Because things will happen suddenly. Anything can happen anytime. Do not become careless. Bapdada said, don't say later on, I did not know, I did not understand, I did not think. You should be ready, bring time closer. This is your family. Feel their sorrow and peacelessness. Become merciful heart. Such time is coming, you have to have a 5 forms drill practiced. Bapdada said, anything can happen anytime. Definitely you can do a lot of service, but time can change. Can't you hear the sound, the call of sorrow of the souls? Bapdada told you already. Within a 1 second anything can happen. Practice putting full stop. It's not the time for your own effort anymore. Practice putting full stop. It's the return journey. Do not think, later I will do. So what? I am moving along. There is no guarantee of time. Anything can happen. Do seva fast. Time is very short. Even your neighbors don't know. That kind of service still left. On the day when earthquake came, 11th of March, Sakar Baba's Murli, what is happening in foreign countries? So much confusion. Human beings are dying. The nature is doing a big task. Baba said, this is very little thing what happened in Japan, because human beings are troubling nature. So nature is now troubling human beings. This is the first scene, very little started. Big about to come. This is Japan, yeah. It's the number of people who died was written. it's written that thousands of people, 100,000 people, no food and no water, no electricity. Om Shanti. Thank you being with us. You continue to give Sakash, good wishes to the souls as Baba has given us the seva of Mansa. Thank you.